Welcome back to part 2 of my chat. On a very special episode of I Catch Killers, we've got the legendary boxing trainer Johnny Lewis in here with us. If you didn't listen to part 1, we gave Johnny a bit of a surprise, I think a pleasant surprise, where we rolled out a lot of people whose lives he has touched on over the years. Now, we're going to do a little bit more of that for part 2, and I think it's probably we should bring in the next guest.
Okay, roll on.
Who do you think it might be? The I Catch Killers podcast was a fresh start for me, as I left policing behind and started a new life. Over the years, we've laughed together, cried, and shared some powerful moments. Welcome to I Catch Killers. Jesus, look at that head. Garth Wood has just walked in. Garth Wood is a former professional boxer, winner of the Contender Series, and played in the NRL, and is a good friend of Johnny's.
One of my most beautiful kids I've ever known.
Pull up a chair, Garth.
Hello, fellas. How are you? Johnny?
Hello, Garth.
Now, Garth, last time you were here, we said we weren't getting you back in the studio. I Catch Killers. This is the third time you've been in here.
Yeah, you can't get enough of me.
I
You've
know,
got a soft spot for me, haven't you?
Yeah, obviously the person that keeps this thing moving. But look, when we were talking about doing the podcast and podcast of this nature, where we're surprising Johnny with the impact he's had on people's lives for a whole range of different things. I know you're very close with Johnny. I know he's played a pivotal part in your successes and all sorts of things within your life, but it's always there for you, even if you hit rock bottom. Do you want to talk us about that?
Oh, Dad and Johnny have been mates forever. I'm sure Johnny probably put in a situation where he probably knew me before I was even born. We're that close. We're a tight-knit family. Me and my brother's more or less second dad. We always turn to him for advice. I'll give him a call out of the blue, want to go for a coffee, catch up. He's followed me forever with anything I've ever done, from football, and then when I put my hand up and wanted to chuck my hat in the ring, he taught me to box when I was a young bloke. Every kid gets picked on and bullied growing up in this neighbourhood, and I remember I went a bit too far one day because the school bully I was petrified of, and I threw a table at him and I got suspended, and Dad was, in the sense, he was happy that I didn't shit myself or anything. He said, but you can't be doing that. You can't throw tables or use weapons anyway. You're going up to see Johnny. He's going to show you how to hold your hands up. And I fell in love with boxing from that day on. I just loved the aura around the gym, the way, no bodies would walk in the gym, and then within a couple of months, Johnny's turned them into an Australian champion or some sort of interim belt, and they've turned their life around. But that's what Johnny's about. He's about helping the less fortunate and transforming into tough guys and gentlemen in the same hand.
Yeah, there's something that cuts across. Johnny, how much does it mean to you seeing people come through the gyms, like people like Garth, and that you can have a positive impact on their life?
Oh, look, Garth's been blessed with a wonderful father and a beautiful mother. That all took control by those two. I'm very proud what little role I played with him, but Garth and that, to me, is they're two of the best kids I've ever been involved with, and to me personally, that's a great thrill for me. I just see them in the street and I get a rush of adrenaline, and wonderful kids that grew up to be wonderful men, and I'd do anything for both of them.
Yeah, I can see how tight the relationship is. Garth, Johnny helped you or pointed you in a direction that was probably the peak of your sporting career on the Contender TV series.
Yeah, he sure did. Like everyone hasn't stopped saying that he's a father figure to them. And I was at a stage in my life where football had finished, and at the same time, my relationship, my first wife, went south of the border as well. So I was in a sort of desperate state, and I didn't feel too good about myself, beat myself up, and I turned to the piss and was hanging with a wrong crew, and I'm sure everyone was talking about me and worried, and I got a phone call from Johnny, surprisingly, and he's always just checking in on me, and I could understand where he was coming from with his conversation, like, "Hey son, how are you? Everything all right?" And I tried to "Yeah, John, I'm good, mate." And he said, "Listen here." I said, "What?" He goes, "Mate, I know you're not in a good place. Your mum's worried sick about you, your daughters." He goes, "Anyway, there's something. Might be able to turn your life around. You remember that contender?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, Shannon Taylor's put out, but the only thing is he got 3 days of anto. What do you reckon?" I said, "It all comes down to buzzer, but hopefully Wendy's going to smooth it over for me." So Mum did made that card happen, and Johnny gave me the golden ticket to go into contender, and I turned my life around.
So those that don't know what the contender is, that's a show going back for, I don't know, 10 years or more. What the basis of it was, fighters fight off in the round robin, and the winner got to fight Anthony Mundine, who was the world champion at that time, and that changed your life, that particular thing. And it was someone, Johnny, just sensing or understanding that you needed something in your life, pointing you in that direction.
Yeah, he's a good reader, people.
Look, the thing in that a lot of people, they say, "Oh, he knocked Mundine out, in the final." That was the big thing for the finalists to fight Anthony 12 rounds or 10 rounds.
10 rounds. 10 rounds.
And but to get there, he had a very, very hard trail of, and one of them was a Russian guy, and he was most probably the most feared bloke, middleweight, light heavyweight on the globe. Never been beat, and knocked them all out. And Garth's fight, anyone that can see that if you want something and you want to get it, he was phenomenal. He just took him on in his backyard, and when he won that, I thought to myself, I always knew how good they were, but by God, it come from inside, and I still love thinking about that fight.
Yeah, no, it was a special moment in Australian sport. That Johnny had played a part in it, so it's interesting. Garth, probably more to the point, and what we see Johnny, the high profile stuff that he does, and people understanding, but it's the little things he's done. No secret on I Catch Killers that you got yourself into a little bit of trouble in relatively recent times.
Yeah, I did.
And I know it was hurting Johnny and hurting your old man, but I'm sure you got some strength, some advice from Johnny on different things.
Yeah, I did. You know what? It's a funny place, jail, and especially when you get isolated. But they rolled out the red carpet for me. I went from to Parklea out to Cessnock and then back to Jubilee. But 45-year-old I was. You're an old man in jail at that stage. There's a lot of young blokes in there. So I'd go in my cell and I'd just float back to being in the gym back as a kid with Johnny, and I was just, you had to imagine certain things and take yourself to a different place, and I'd shadow box and I'd hear Johnny in the back, "Man, come on, son, the sharpest, the thing between your ears is the sharpest tool in the shed. Now, come on, we're not here to fuck spiders, let's go, son." But all that stuff was just flooding back to me, and it saved me. Yeah. I was just conditioning myself, and I took it as, well, I've never been in a situation like this, so I don't know what to expect. First time I did, so I took it like a boxing prep, because I remember when I was in a prep, you're pure and your mental toughness is through the roof, and that's where you had to take yourself to that sort of mode. But I carried my mum, my dad, Johnny. That's the sort of power you got to find strength from for your family, and just stay true to yourself and not get caught up in any of the shit in there.
It's something with Johnny, and he's not going to judge you, but you don't you're embarrassed that you've got to this situation where Johnny, you've fallen back into the situation that got yourself into trouble. You almost feel like you let Johnny down. That seems to be a motivation with a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
That deal with Johnny. Any last things you want to say to Johnny?
Just that I love him dearly. He knows that. Even his children, Brent, Lisa, they're my family. I remember as a kid, we all went to school together, and I'd pick them up, and I looked over them because they were mine. And he saved me from a lot of bad times, and I'm grateful that I'm still around. He's played a big part of my life, not just through the bad times, but also the good times. And I love him forever, big time.
Well said. Well said. Thanks, Garth.
My pleasure.
Love you, Carl.
Thank you, mate.
Well, Johnny, that door just keeps rolling open. Who have we got next?
The mind's boggling.
Yeah, I know. I'm scared. Oh. Steph Haddad has just walked into the studio. She's very close to Johnny, and I think it's fair to say they love each other a great deal. So, Steph, how long have you known Johnny for?
I think 5 years, something like that.
And how did you meet Johnny?
Johnny, like the rest of us, picked us up off the street. Really.
Oh, that's where he found me. So
Yeah.
What you know the magic he weaves every morning. And what we're talking about here is Johnny does a training session every morning, 5:30 at the local oval, and he turns up, rain, hail or shine. Doesn't matter if he's been out late at night. He always turns up. What's he bring to that little group?
Oh, I think it's hard to sort of capture really, Gary, but we've had a lot of amazing people just come up before me, and I've been trying to think about the right words to use today, Johnny, and I wasn't expecting you to be sitting across from me, but I think it's hard to find what you bring to the world these days. No, honestly, it's you've got the universal ability to speak to anybody, make them feel seen and heard and important, and no matter what's happened in the past, what's happening in the present, you've got the ability to pull somebody out of whatever it is that they're facing and just remind them that everything's going to be okay. There's hope no matter where you look, and unconditional love. And I don't know, from me, thank you for what you've brought to me in my life and, the life of my girls. It's invaluable.
Johnny?
She's knocked me out again. I've got to say that she's taken the role of my mother, even though she's at a young age. She's constantly picking on me for crossing the road wrong or doing something that I shouldn't or whatever. But I can say that Stephanie Haddad, she reminds me a lot of my mother. She's I had the best mother in the world, and her little daughters have got the best mother in the world now, and very, very dear to me. Nothing she does is wrong, and I just admire and respect her so much. And if I was about 5 years younger, she'd be swept off her feet. But still.
Johnny. Steph, you and I both know, because we go out with Johnny a fair bit, how hard it is to walk from point A to point B without being distracted.
Yeah.
Talk us through that, like the streets of Erskineville.
Yeah. I think Jackson sort of summarised it, but basically if you've got a half an hour walk with Johnny, it turns into about a 3-hour walk with 35 people screaming out of a car, "Johnny!" every time you're walking along the street. And he'll always say, "Hello, mate. Everything good?" And they'll say, "Yep, everything's good." And I'll ask him, "Who was that?" And he'll say, "I have no idea." But Johnny will never make anybody feel embarrassed or, "Sorry, who are you and how do I know you?" It's always, again, met with unconditional love, and again, he makes everybody feel important, seen and heard, no matter, where you come from.
Yeah, and we see that, Johnny, and it's good we get a chance to talk about this on this forum, because I don't think you appreciate how much that training session does for so many people. And they come and they go, and you see people go, and then you can see their life off track, and they just need to bring back a little bit of a grounding again, and train with you. You seem to, and I think you could attest to this, Steph, you seem to have an innate ability to be able to get the best out of people, whatever level it is. Like, how do you train a group of trainers where you have world champions turn up and complete novices, but you get them training as a group and they all feel like you're giving something? What's your secret?
I think Steph talks about what she gets from it and everything. The real winner is me. I wouldn't be getting out of bed at 4:45 if I wasn't enjoying myself. And, when I get there, I subconsciously have a quick count around and make sure, hopefully, that everyone's there. I just love every one of them, and it's the biggest thing in my life now. It's an amazing thing that we all went to the movies last night, and it was a really good show. I forget what it was. I was asleep, but
I thought I could hear snoring.
Yeah.
But in the ensuing weeks, we have young Ella Boot that has captivated everyone in the group so much as they've already got their tickets to go and see Ella in this fight she's having on the 23rd. And Ella speaks of how lovely they are, and then I get how lovely Ella is, and we're all the same.
It just spreads a lot of love in the air. Steph, what would you like to say to Johnny now before we wrap this bit up?
Oh, I love you, Johnny. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, my girls, the people that are in our motley crew of boxing. You play such a pivotal role for so many people, and I think for me, you've replaced what was once the sort of village, wise, funny, quick-witted, sharp as a tack human. We've lost that, I think, that role in society. And I just love you. Thank you.
I love you too, Steph.
Well said, Steph.
And the girls.
Good stuff. Thanks for that, Steph.
Thanks, Johnny.
Johnny, all this stuff, it seems to be coming deeply from the heart.
Oh, mate.
There's another person, Johnny, that wanted to make it today. In fact, he was going to make it today right up till this morning, and he's blaming his wife for not being here because Trish has hurt her leg. Most people know who Matty Johns is. He's a media personality now, but prior to that, he was a NRL rugby league player, spent most of his career with Newcastle, did play for Australia, and is now very much embedded in the world of the media.
Hey Johnny, how you doing, mate? Look, circumstances mean I can't be there to give you the message, but mate, I just want to wish you all the very best for your birthday. Great milestone, mate, and I just want to congratulate you on all the things you've done for people over the years. And it sounds strange saying congratulations for what you've done to other people, but what I mean by that is I think everybody, certainly most people, would like to do great things for people or make people probably feel better than they even are, but very, very, very few people are able to do it. But you're one of them. In fact, there's only certain people I think that really would hold a candle to you. I think one was your great mate Jack Gibson, one of the great humanists, and the other one Wayne Bennett. I think those two blokes, I think the three years are a very, very special category. That's the thing about Johnny, when you go and they had a coffee with you, every type of person come up and wanted to chat. And I think there's two reasons they want to come up and chat to you. One is, you're a great storyteller, But I think the main one is the fact that you've got the ability to make people just feel good about themselves. I certainly, myself, I think your greatest gift, or one I certainly feel, is that when I go away after being with you, I feel more than what I am. Some of the things you've done over the years, I remember the first time I sort of heard of you, I went with the old man to go watch, I think it was Jeff fighting Victor Kalasius, might have been, and we were watching at Cessnock Leagues Club. And some bloke, said, mate, Jeff won't beat this bloke. And the old man said, no, he will. He said, what makes you think that? And he said, mate, the old balding bloke with the big nose in the corner, that's his secret weapon. But more than just boxing, Johnny, of course, what you did for rugby league in the 1990 and 94 Kangaroo tours and Newtown and everything like that. Those blokes in those tours said the amazing thing, you were someone to lean on, could alleviate pressure, but also, mate, teach the coaching staff how to have empathy for the player. I will say this, though, Johnny, there's one thing that you're certainly not the most endearing quality, is what a tight ass you are. And I remember the day that you were walking along Enmore, and I saw you coming from a distance, so I took my shirt off and laid on the ground like a vagrant, and I said, money, money, money. And you went, no, mate, no. And as you went past, I went, Johnny Lewis. And I thought that it would shame you into giving me some money. And still you went, no, mate, no money for you, mate. Which I was, mate, even in your own way, it was sort of endearing. But Johnny, as I said, mate, I'm sorry I can't be there. But happy birthday, mate. And catch up for a coffee soon.
Wow. A nice message, isn't it? How do you feel like people like Matty saying stuff like that? How does it make you feel?
There's a couple of times I've both Matty and Joey want something done. Like I remember one old Balmain footballer had passed, and I rang Matty and Joey, and they, in the half time, took it upon himself to say something about little things like that. And as the boys are growing, they've never forgot. You know, and that's a big thing to ask someone, but not when you ask them. It's just I've got no problem to do it, and wonderful. Best things to ever come out of Cessnock, I think.
Well, he's got stiff competition coming out of Cessnock. No criticism of Cessnock. Let's get the next guest in. A little surprise. I have no idea who's going to walk through the door, Johnny, but sure it'll be interesting one way or the other. Surprise. Danny Green's just walked in the door.
Gary, how are you, buddy? Yeah, you too, mate.
Hello, mate.
Legend. Can't wait, champion. Good crowd you got going on, mate. Popular man, Johnny.
Grab a chair. Danny Green, a legendary, I say legendary, former boxer. I followed his career a great deal. 3 world titles that he won. He's probably best known for his fights with Anthony Mundine, but more importantly with Danny is the work that he's done post-boxing, the One Punch campaign, and a few other things that he's trying to make the world a better place. What's your take on Johnny Lewis? Tell us the Johnny Lewis you know, Danny.
I first knew Johnny and met Johnny because everyone met Johnny on the TV. It's like everyone knew him. I met him in 1985. I was 12 years old watching Johnny walk Jeff Fennick out to the ring against Satoshi Shingaki for the IBF world title. Yeah. And I was propped up at the bar. My old man, Snowy, had me propped up. He's gone now, but he loved boxing, loved Johnny. Got me introduced to boxing. And he had me propped up the bar at there was a pretty rough old pub down the road from where we lived called the Nookanburra Hotel. Okay. And I remember watching Jeff win the fight. I was in my PJs. Back then, I was 12 and was what I was. And the whole pub just lit up when Jeff won. And the whole country lit up when Jeff won. But I remember Johnny. And everyone remembers Johnny. And then that was the moment that I fell in love with the sport of boxing on that night. Yeah. I'd fallen in love with it prior to that, but really that was what caught my attention. I went, man, I want to do that. But I never thought I would. Just a little 12-year-old whippersnapper. So seeing Johnny and then watching Jeff's career and then Johnny being an integral part of that and then when he started training Costa Zoo. You know, he's part of the fabric in boxing and sport in this country. He's an iconic figure, and he's been, I think, integral to so many young men's lives. I think he's saved a lot of lives. I hear so many people talk about the stories they've had from Johnny as far as him being a part of their redemption. So he's got a very, very an incredible effect on human beings without trying.
Yeah, and you say redemption and the people that Johnny's helped. It's not by coincidence that the amount of people that we've had on here that have turned their lives around and Johnny's played a part in it. There's some special quality you've got, Johnny. We've got to get to the bottom of it. You believe in people. I think. Would that be? You said to me the other day when you first did pads with him, pad work with him, you were so excited because it was the great Johnny Lewis.
Oh, just about. I just about internally combusted when I got the opportunity to go down to Newtown Police Boys back in the day. I think it was 1987, Johnny. Mm-hmm. And did pads with Johnny, had the shirt off, thinking I'm all that. And I don't think Johnny realised, but I nearly had a heart attack because I just didn't want to stop punching and stop working. I just tried so hard to impress this man. Yeah. I did everything I could, and it was what it was. I was just a young amateur fighter doing my best. But the opportunity to do pads with Johnny is like, wow, this is just, it was next level. Back then, no mobiles. I rang up from a telephone when I was staying, a house phone, saying, guess what I just did? And then got to know Johnny, through the years, through boxing, and Johnny actually was, because when my first professional trainer was Jeff Fennick, so Johnny was in my corner for a couple of fights, and one time Jeff was away in America, so Johnny cornered me up in Gosford, and that was, it's like a pinch yourself kind of moment, a bucket list moment. I was around my mates and I had mobile phone back then. It's like, boys, can you believe it? Johnny Lewis was just in my corner. It was just crazy. It was such a wild thing to have for a young up and coming fighter, to have an iconic person and a guy with so much, just a calming influence. Yeah. And you just wanted to go out there and destroy your opponent for this bloke.
Johnny, do you realise you have that effect? Do you realise the impact? Like Danny Green, 3 times world boxing champion, he's talking about you like that. What do you understand what you've got? Is it something you consciously do, or is it just your nature?
Very touching from Danny, but I'd like Danny to know that I'm still in his corner. I believe in the kid. I think sometimes you lay in bed and you wonder and worry where our sport's going. And just the other day, I think Danny's a bloke. He's got to want to do it, but Danny's a very fair, honest guy. He's been through it. He's seen the ugliness of it. He's seen the lovely side of it. But to me personally, I would love to see Danny take a bigger hold, and I think he's very fair. He knows from the grassroots up the
boxing scene you're talking about.
Even like you make the Olympic team in amateurs, and you're pretty good, and he did that to go on, and we look at his record, and he's been in with the best, and he's walked in here and he's definitely he's doing something. He looks very, very young.
It's the ocean, Johnny. It's the ocean, mate.
You tell him, Johnny, he's let his body go. Jesus.
But he's, honestly, I do believe that Danny's the guy to take. We need an injection in our sport.
Yeah.
I think Danny's the guy to do it.
Could be the person for it.
I really do.
Last question. What is it about Johnny that makes him special?
I don't think...
Looks.
Well, he's very handsome. I love before. Okay. The best was before when that young lady, Steph, was in here. I think it was Steph. Yeah. And he said, if I was 5 years younger, he's the best. Yeah. So confidence, but I can't really put I don't know, when you're around some blokes and they just make you feel good.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think there's a word for it.
Yeah, that's probably... and
I think he just has that feeling with people from the corporate world to people who've just got out of the jail for, armed robbery, for serving 20 years for armed robbery. Yeah. He doesn't judge, like you said. Everyone deserves a chance. I'm definitely no saint, so I don't judge people. Yeah. And I think that's an important part of his personality, that people just track to him, and he just makes him feel good, and that's a quality you can't put I think a label on.
Quantify. All right. Well, thank you so much for making the effort, Danny. And,
No worries.
Another surprise to Johnny. So, yeah.
Thanks very much for having me.
Who's going to walk in? No, absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it.
That's wrapped.
I asked him when I got here, I said, have you spoke to Danny?
I didn't.
We had a good chat today.
Yeah,
had a really good chat.
Keep it going.
Yeah. Legend, Johnny. Legend, mate.
Good stuff.
Thanks so much, Daniel.
Cheers.
See you after for a cup of you too, but I'll see you after for a cup of tea, Johnny, if you're still around.
I love his father.
Good fella.
Great man.
He's a good dude. Cheers, Johnny.
Thanks, Danny.
All the best, boys.
Cheers. Who else? What else? Wonder who the next guest is going to be. The one and only Paul Kent, journalist, media star.
Hi, Paul. How are you, mate?
Good. I'll turn up anyway if there's a free feed.
Paul, thanks for making the effort to come in and do this little surprise on Johnny. When I spoke to you, everyone I've spoken to, they were more than happy to do so because Johnny means so much to so many different people. I want to just find out, what's your take on Johnny? You cover sport, you follow the sport, whether it's the boxing, the league, all sorts of sports, and Johnny just seems to have a way around the whole sporting scene.
Yeah, look, I think the thing with Johnny, he's got a combination of things that's, I think, very difficult to find. He's always honest with you, but he's always gentle with you, which is not easy to do.
Yeah.
And so he'll tell people the truth, but he'll tell it in a way that doesn't offend them. When they do need that truthfulness, which happens often in sport, and that sort of, I think that sort of, look, obviously that's part of Johnny, who he is, and how he was raised, and what his own values are. But I also think a lot of it comes from his work in the corners with fighters.
Yeah.
You see a lot of cornermen sit down with their boxers in the corner, and they give horrible advice, and often they get emotional themselves, which is no good to the fighter, but they get caught up in the emotion of the fight, and in the end their advice is often pointless. But Johnny has an ability, which I think is from all his years in the corner, to be very calm, tell the fighter what he needs. That was obvious in Johnny well before I knew him. When Johnny was a young man, and what was your trainer at Newtown when you were 14 years old? And like Johnny started training for, he was 18 years old, didn't you? You know, you were very, very young to be a trainer in the corner. It's still at that age, most guys are fighting, and it's not until they retire that they take over as will start training. But Johnny was a young kid, was already training fighters who were only 3-4 years younger than him.
Yeah.
And obviously people saw that quality in him, even at that age, and over time he's just sharpened that.
Yeah, and
That was Dick O'Connor.
Dick O'Connor, that's him. Yeah.
Johnny, the secret to working a corner, what Paul just talked about there. What's your advice for people working corners?
Yeah, well, you've got to be realistic. You get 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Sit him down, towel him down. If work on his Vaseline. If there's a cut, you work on that. And when that's all done, start your talk. And you can talk to him before that, but realistically, I say to Paul, keep your left hand going. And then I'll say to him, keep your right hand up,
simple instructions.
And this bloke, he looks like he's trying to bring you onto his left hook, so make sure that, your hands are up, and just little things like that,
Yeah, and there's only, because you've only got 60 seconds, there's only, and Johnny's said this to me, there's only basically 2 things, sometimes 3 things that they can absorb in the corner. Yeah. So don't overload them with information either. And you see, other trainers get excited, and they'll tell their fighter 8 different things they've got to work on in the next round. And there's just too many. There's too much to do. So there's just simple advice.
Well, that's interesting because you translate then that to the advice you get out in the real world, like the day-to-day advice, and that's very much how Johnny does. Like he's pointed me in directions when I'm going the wrong way. Just a word, and it sort of makes you think, oh, right, okay, that's. And I know you would have experienced that, and also the fact that he's loyal.
Oh well, that's clearly, and that's the quality of his upbringing.
Yeah,
That's these people around here in Erskineville where we grew up. That's who they are, and that's how they judge people.
Yeah.
It's loyalty first. So, and that's one of the things that everybody loves about Johnny is that, once he's in your corner, he's in your corner forever.
Yeah. Well, that might be a good way to say goodbye to Paul. I think we've got some more people out there, but Paul, anything else? Anything else you want to say to Johnny?
Oh look, I'm like everyone else, Gary. I like Johnny and I. We've become quite close.
Yeah.
And I love him. He's just a guy that, to your point, he's around with his good advice, his good company, and the world's a better place with him in it.
Yeah. Well said.
And I'm extremely proud of Paul. Always will be.
Yeah. No, that's good.
He'll always be the one standing up straight.
Thanks, mate.
That's nice. All right. Thanks, Paul.
Pleasure.
Send someone in that has got something bad to say about
There's,
Johnny Wick.
Now, that line's short, but there is a conga line out here.
We'll find someone. We'll dig up the dirt. This is I Catch Killers. Thanks, Paul.
See you, Paul.
Cheers. And who have we got? Oh,
Now the party ends.
Adam White.
You
How
left.
things again?
You went an hour ago.
Oh, yeah, mate.
Take a seat, Adam.
Thank you, mate.
Okay, we've got Adam Watt here, martial artist, multiple world champion kickboxer, fought at an elite level at boxing, and knows Johnny very well, and they have a very close relationship. And Adam, you lied to Johnny out the front there. You said you were going.
Sorry, mate. For the first time I've lied to you.
Do you accept his apologies, Johnny?
Most definitely, mate. Father of the year, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And in front again this year, so.
Yeah. Tell us about the Johnny you know, Adam, because you know him as well as anyone.
I think I've always known of Johnny Lewis. I was lucky enough to be taken for a fight for him. So one time in South Africa, about 25 years ago, we went over to South Africa for a fight, and it was definitely one of the highlights of my fighting career has been taken by him for that fight. It's just, something really connected in terms of something I'd been looking for,
yeah.
and which I definitely found in Johnny.
And what was that? Can you quantify what that is? What you get from Johnny?
Well, I think and I've been listening to everyone speak today, and I think Matty Johns kind of nailed a bit when he said he's a great humanist. Using that term, and for me, Johnny, what is it about Johnny? I think it's not if you win the fight, or he doesn't put the effort into you to win the fight or to win the footy game or whatever it is. He puts it into you for the win in life. The effort he puts in is, he uses sport as a foundation to become a better person in life.
Yeah.
And I think you see why he has, when people say, oh, he's the father figure, these are people with fathers.
Yeah.
These aren't people. I didn't have so much a role model in my life, and Johnny definitely felt that. But I see a lot of people who do have fathers, and Johnny is a father figure.
Yeah.
So disarming is he for the parents as well as the student. And I just see that what Johnny puts in. It's about creating a better place, a better life for not only these kids but for us all. His vision for what's fair in life, and is paramount to all of his teachings. And it could be boxing he's teaching, or it could be football, or it could be tiddlywinks.
Yeah.
It's all about using that to get the most out of the student.
Nicely put about the teachings, because that's what he does bring. It's not just, you don't go down there just to learn how to throw a jab. There's other things that he's feeding you and teaching you. What's Adam mean to you, Johnny?
Well, there hasn't been a dud walking through the door. I'm extremely happy with that, and to me personally, when I'm with Adam Watt, I'm on a cloud. I idolise him. This bloke that kicked the shit out of everyone that he went, I mean, he knocked blokes out, whatever. He's the nicest bloke you'll ever meet in your life, and I sit and watch a little boy that just started primary school, and I'm taken aback with every little video I get sent of this wonderful little kid with the best father he could possibly have. That's Adam Watt.
Yeah, you see it, Adam, and 100%. We see the way that you've raised your boy and you look after it. There's something special, but it's just going. We went away a couple of weekends ago up to your farm and what you've created there for yourself, and it was. I could see you're excited about showing Johnny and letting Johnny see what was going on.
Yeah, I think it's, to me it's, when all's said and done, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and saying, okay, have I done right by the efforts people like Johnny's put into you, and there's no one I look up to, or there's no one I value so much in the word than what I get from Johnny, and it's comes from such an honest and a good place. It's not. There's no other reason for him to put these effort into so many people, is that he just wants the world a better place, and he just it's just such true and honest. It's so motivating.
And it's a lot of it is so much giving, isn't it? And Johnny, you say, well, I get back tenfold what I give away, but Adam, and you've seen the world, Adam. You've fought in so many different styles. You've seen the ugly side of the sport. You've seen all aspects of it. And Johnny sort of floated through that world with respect all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I came through some adversity, about 10 years ago, and Johnny was there by my side. Yeah. I mean, it's not, we talked about before, he could sit with the biggest gangsters or sit next to a Supreme Court judge, because I don't think Johnny, he doesn't live in the past and he doesn't live in the future. He lives in the now. Yeah. And when he's sitting next to you, it's about now. When you're having a cup of coffee with Johnny, it's about the now, and that's where he lives. He's very much in the presence, and he makes you. That's what you can control. Yeah. He teaches you that you can't control your past, you can't control the future, just as long as you're right now. In a fight, for example, when Johnny's first words is, "How you feeling, mate?" Yeah. How are you holding up? Is everything okay? Is everything all right at home? And Johnny does that because he knows that's the foundation of where you're going to go. Yeah. If you're not all right, if you're not ready for a training session, or that there are problems at home, he knows he'll never get the best out of you, or you'll never achieve what you need to achieve in life, or you have the potential to achieve in life. I really think what Johnny brings is the foundation for someone so they can become the best person they can be. And whether it's achieving in sport or achieving in life, or like me, the best thing I've ever had in my life is a rap saying that, he thinks I'm a good father. I mean, that's 10 times better than ever winning any fight I've ever won.
It says a lot, and Johnny, I'm hoping you're getting a sense of the impact that you have on people. Adam, one last thing you'd like to say to Johnny?
Love you, mate.
I love you too, Adam.
Thanks,
but
mate.
I can't understand, Gary. We haven't had another invitation up to the farm.
Yeah, I know. We said we liked it. We enjoyed it, our time up there. And yeah, stuff for you guys. Yeah.
We'll just come up on our own. We know where it is now.
Yeah, try and stop us.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, guys.
Give William a big hug from
Will
us,
do.
mate.
Yeah,
Will do.
good stuff.
Thank you.
Well, how are you feeling, Johnny, with all the people that we've rolled up on you?
I've enjoyed the occasion, mate. Yeah. Thank you.
You can see how many people made the effort to get here, and that was just scraping the surface of people that would have loved to come on and talk about the impact that you've had on their lives. So we've got another guest coming into the studio, Peter Mitrevski Jr., aka Baby. Did you think you'd see this idiot?
Hello, Stella.
I thought I was going to have a nice time here. Hello, babe.
How are you? Now, Johnny, I don't think I could really talk to you about your life and everything without touching on what Peter knows about you. So, Pete, when did you first meet Johnny?
I can't remember. I'd say when I was born.
Yeah.
So I can just remember as a kid, we'd go to No Names, and obviously Johnny trained my dad, he trained everyone, and Johnny was just this person that we all looked up to.
Yeah.
And I think he was the one that would give advice to anyone when anyone was in trouble. Johnny was always there for him.
So you virtually grew up with Johnny, around Johnny.
Well, Johnny's actually my godfather, but my dad was too tired to put the christening on.
That's a short change. What about your box? You achieved Australian title. You're a professional boxer and a very good boxer in your own right. What was it like having Johnny training you?
I think Johnny was the person that you'd always try and you'd run through a brick wall for him. You know, even though he's softly spoken, you know, you didn't want to let Johnny down. And I believe that's part of the reason why he's had so much success, not just with boxers, with, like you say, people from all walks of life. People would come out of jail, he'd be there for them. People would be on work release, he'd be there for them. You know, the local bloke in Erskineville going through a tough time, Johnny would sit there, pull over, speak to him for 20 minutes and make him walk off feeling $1 million.
Yeah. No, I can attest to that. Johnny, what was Peter like training? You can be honest.
Look, young Peter, to me, he epitomises life was hard for young Peter early, and the way that he's grew up, I'm as proud as Pete as anyone else. I go back and I'd be in the corner, and next minute there'd be a bloke trying to get in the ring with a pair of pyjamas and a nappy on him, wanting to help his father. There were so many little things. I went to the football one day and I happened to look over the hill, and there was a couple of big blokes, you know, as kids do, picking on him. And anyhow, I was so proud of him. He got stuck into him and we went down and brought him back up. But the way Peter's turned out, and he's got hand in hand with the other side of boxing, got out of it, but has a wealth of knowledge for being so involved in it. And I'd have no hesitation to put in any fight I had under Peter's control in the management side of things. And he's honest, very honest kid.
Well, that's a good rap. And seeing Johnny's giving you such a good rap, why did you tell him to fuck off between a round when you were fighting? What happened there?
It's my dad's fault, as always.
Yeah, he's not here to defend himself.
My dad always, every fight, he's always been in Johnny's corner, and Johnny doesn't like talking. Johnny's very quiet, so he'd get my dad to talk in between rounds. Anyway, my dad, being a parent, you know, wants the best for me out there. He just sings out one thing: jab, jab, jab. Anyway, I said, mate, stop telling me to fucking jab. Anyway, Johnny's told me, mate, don't speak to your father like that. I don't recall, it was in the heat of the action, and apparently I said, well, you get fucked too. And actually, it was my best performance. I won overseas, I won a belt in Japan, but yeah, it was, I don't recall doing it, but Johnny tells the story. If Johnny said it happened, it happened.
It happened. One other thing before we let you go, Pete, because we've got some other people that just happen to be wandering past. Johnny's induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. How significant is that, and how hard is it to get that?
Well, there's never been another Australian as a coach being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's hard enough to make the Australian Hall of Fame, let alone the World Boxing Hall of Fame. So I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny, to everyone else, everyone looks up at Johnny as, Johnny's a legend. He's a, amazing person. But to Johnny just sees himself as the local knockabout from the district, from Erskineville.
Yeah, that his success hasn't changed him. Thanks very much for coming in. I see how close you are to this day, and it's quite nice to see that. So,
no problem.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. See you.
So in walks Margaret Cunneen, a senior barrister, now defence barrister, a former Crown prosecutor.
Happy birthday, Johnny.
Margaret Cunneen.
Hello, Gary.
How are you?
Great to see you.
Whoops.
Oh, and the
Headphones.
great man, my hero. Great to see you, Johnny.
What a surprise.
Always a happy surprise when Margaret Cunneen
Thank
walks
you.
into the room.
Thank you.
So, Johnny's 80th birthday coming up.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Look at him. He's still a youth.
Only looks 79.
But I've ambushed him as I spoke to you that he was coming on the Eye Catch Killers, which you've appeared as a guest on Eye Catch Killers, to talk about Johnny.
Well, a mutual friend introduced us quite a long time ago now, maybe 15 years ago, and it was Barry Ross, who we lost only late last year. But it was interesting how rugby league and boxing intersected for you, Johnny, wasn't it? And how you came to coach the Kangaroos way back in the day, and what an important thing boxing training is for really any other sports person, because it's so courageous, it's so individual, and you can convey that and show everyone what an important thing, what an important sport boxing is, to develop courage. Mostly.
Well, you definitely need it, don't you?
You certainly do. Even in the sports that Gary and I used to call our jobs, we needed it.
Have a laugh.
And so you can't even believe it, Gary. My husband and boys taught martial arts, so they got to meet Johnny too. And whilst they were doing a range of Asian martial arts, Johnny turned them on to boxing, and they became coaches themselves. And now we've got a boxing gym incorporated in the martial arts gym at Willoughby, Wiley Strike. And that's all because of Johnny's encouragement to the boys to keep on with it. And what's more, as I think you know, Johnny, I started training in boxing too about 12 years ago, and it turned my life around. But that's because I met you. And I think it's a sport and a discipline that keeps you so young and fit. It's the greatest, most economical sport for fitness, but also for just confidence and trying to emulate you, a humble but tough, magnificent, courteous trainer, and a wonderful boxer.
Sound like Ray Connolly then.
Johnny, you are blushing now.
I've got to chip in here because, first of all, the wonderful guy that introduced me to you was Barry Ross, and unfortunately Barry's not with us, but we're talking about him today, so he is. And I can remember, if my memory's right, the particular night I met your boys and your husband, and I think it was under the Harbour Bridge somewhere at a little restaurant there.
That's true, Johnny, yes.
And we were talking about it, and they all seemed to were taken back by the boxing. And I know they were doing the martial arts and everything, but I didn't know that they went that way That's wonderful, yeah.
And when I wrote a book in the last year or two, I called it The Boxing Butterfly. And that's about me, but it wouldn't have been called that or have had anything about boxing in it, but for the happy day that I met you, Johnny.
Yeah.
And we've stayed friends ever since.
Al-
We've
always
lost our
will.
mutual friend, Barry, who would be wishing you a happy birthday. Just as he did make his 80th and maybe one or two more,
Yeah.
but I wish he was still here to enjoy your 80th. But
Very good friend of mine.
Yes.
I love Barry. He was a one of.
yes,
He's got Johnny, and it's hard to pull it out of him. The qualities he's got that people gravitate towards. Now, Margaret, you see the worst side of life, the best side of life in the work that you do as a former prosecutor, now a defence barrister. You meet a lot of tough guys, a lot of hard guys, and guys that have got all the bravado, the chest out. I've mixed in circles where there's those type of people, and every one of them still show Johnny respect, and he gets respect in the boxing world, he gets respects in the criminal world. It's respect across board. What do you put that down to?
boxing is an interesting thing, isn't it? And Johnny, I know that you have also tried to help prisoners to learn to boxing and to train in boxing. It gives you a discipline, and it probably keeps you out of trouble somehow, because you channel your anger or emotions or anything else into your boxing, where you follow the rules, and it also gives you a calmness, and you're the grand master of that. You're the grand master of boxing in Australia, and the people you've coached are everywhere in the world, but they all carry that calmness and that courtesy, and so you give it out and you get it back. And I know that you're held in the greatest respect by everyone that I've ever heard speak of you.
Well, that's such a nice thing to say.
Can't speak.
You can't speak? Well, we've, the Grand Master of Boxing. That might be his new title, the Grand Master, risen above the pack. Johnny, this is coming from Margaret.
Wonderful, mate. I think the last time I saw you was with Gary, and but I can tell you a couple of times Barry rang me and I couldn't make it, and you were going to be at the dinners, but I always knew that we'd do it again anyhow. So, but it was a wonderful occasion to sit down with you, and love your company, and I know Gary does too. And
thank you, Johnny. Thank you for changing my life and the lives of the men in my family through a love of boxing that you engendered in us. Thank you.
Well,
happy birthday.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks.
Thanks very much,
Beautiful way to
Margaret.
finish it. Thanks. See you out there.
I might need you to help me blow the candles out.
Bye, Johnny.
Thanks,
See you soon,
darling.
darling. Love
Thank you very much. All right.
See you soon, and happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks, so.
Johnny, well, that comes to the end of This Is Your Life, Johnny Lewis, I Catch Killers style. We've got all the people that have come through, and I can assure you, every single person I spoke to about it wanted to come on. Ronnie Isherwood was coming on, but he just couldn't with the transport. And I think it's testament to yourself as a human being, how many people love you and what they've said about you here. And so I hope it brings some good memories back to you.
Didn't know it was going to go this way, Gary, but believe you me, I'm very proud to have been part of it. And I know it's not embarrassing, but I'm very proud by it, and you've done me makes me want to get up to 90 now. I'll try my hardest. It might be even better then.
All right, we'll try. We'll guarantee we'll get you back for your 90th. Yeah, okay. Look forward to it. Thanks very much, Johnny, and thanks for what you've done for all the people that you helped in your life. You're something special, and it's really appreciated.
Thanks for having us here today. I enjoyed every moment.
Cheers. It was a real privilege to sit down and have Johnny Lewis in the studio to do an I Catch Killers podcast. I feel a little bit bad that I tricked him into turning it into a This Is Your Life episode and rolling out all these people that had Johnny had impacted upon positively. But I've had so many people reach out to me and say, you've got to capture the essence of what Johnny is. He's getting on in age and we don't want it to just pass away, and we want him to understand how much he meant to all the people he's helped in his life. So today was a good cross-section, and I say just a cross-section of people he's helped in his life, because there's so many more, and he's just treats everyone the same, and he's got some really special qualities that all of us should try to aspire to.